Okay, Bismillah wa salatu wa salam Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. One thing I'm personally kind of passionate about is education at all levels, adult level, child level, and I want to speak about education or ilm from a certain perspective. How many teachers are in the room here? Who are your teachers? One teacher only, can't be. Only one teacher, brothers? Two teachers. Okay, so generally when you study teaching, you probably come across a person called Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget. Famous psychologist. He basically came up with a theory of cognitive development for children. Cognitive in terms of how a child mind develops. And then he came up with different stages, which I find interesting, is that when you're born, he calls it the sensory motor stage. You're just learning to move basically when you're born. And at 2 years old, you have the pre-operational stage, you're learning to speak. At 7 years old, you have the concrete operational stage. In other words, your logic is based on concrete material. In other words, you can't abstract thought. It's very difficult to abstract thought when you're 7. Therefore, for a young child, even from 2 to 7, one of the dangers of television is that the young child can't separate fiction from fact. You may tell the child it's not real blood, or you may tell the child that's just a cartoon. But in the child's mind, it's real, because they're unable to understand that that is something which is abstracted from real life. It's abstract creation. They can't understand that. So if your child watches something disturbing, even if you tell them it's not real, they're still going to find the images disturbing. So you're actually going to harm your child greatly if you let them watch things when they are young, because they're not ready for it, and they can't understand that shooting isn't real. For them, that person really got shot. And some of the cartoons, when I watch my kids, the cartoons are really like, you have to be very careful even about the cartoons. It's like, some of them are extremely violent, or they just very, very harmful content. So, it's important to kind of develop a child well then. Anyway, what I'm interested in here is from what they call the formal operation stage. The formal operational stage where the person starts to learn abstract thinking. So an abstract thought is something which is not based in concrete material. It's not based in something concrete. It's abstract, like justice or equity. These are concepts. They are abstract concepts. The person also learns about metacognition. Metacognition is thinking about how you think, and problem solving and so on. This stage goes on until from 11, but it really kind of peaks between 15 and 20. So what I want you to take out of that is that a child really only is able to start thinking completely properly from the age of 15 to 20, when they have like mature thought. They're able to have more refined thought, to think about their thinking, to think about abstract concepts, from 15 to 20. Then I want to plot our Islamic education next to that timeline. Let's plot our Islamic education next to that timeline. So when does it start, your Islamic education? Normally madrasa. There are maybe a few things you don't know, alhamdulillah. Your formal Islamic education begins at madrasa. At which age? Varies. Anyway, so then they start. So what is in the Islamic education that you get? What is like half the time spent on? Half the time, or 3/4 of the time, or 80% of the time is spent on recitation. Most madrasas will spend a good portion of the time on the child learning to read Arabic. What's the rest of the time filled with? So they learn some Iman stuff, Aqidah stuff, some actions, some fiqh, some virtues and stuff. So let's call that whole thing let's call that Islam starter pack. They get starter pack Islam. Like you buy a starter pack, you don't have any data and stuff, just give a starter pack. Islam, they can read some basic Arabic, and they know a little bit the idea there's Allah and there's angels and there's books and there's prophets, and we're all going to meet Allah on the day of judgment, and there's heaven and hell, and there's some stuff I must do to be good. I must make salah, and I must be patient, I must listen to my parents, and that's kind of like your starter pack Islam. What happens next? When does that process end? That formal learning? I'm talking the average, generally high school. At some point in high school, the extramural takes over, and the tutorials take over, and high school takes over, and your Islamic studies is maybe Saturday class, maybe once a month, maybe never. So what is interesting is as a child is learning to think, what do? We stop the Islamic studies. We teach you about Islam when you can't think properly. But when you come to your real thought, like between 15 and 20, 15 and 25, now your mind is maturing, you have absolutely complicated questions. What we do is we stop your Islam just as you're starting to think. That's interesting. Now you come to 15, high school, 18, university. Now you're dealing with real life. And real life has a lot of complexities. And every time you think about real life, when you compare real life to your Islam, what do you compare it to? Starter pack. So now you have all these complex questions. Whether it's about materialism or relativism or social justice or what's my place in this world, or you're dealing with all these complicated things about your life and about understanding the world. And what you comparing it all the time to? Your 12-year-old lesson that you had when you were with your Khalifa there. That's your comparison. And what the strange thing is that from that 15 to 20 and 15 to 22, 23, whenever you graduate from university, is that you learn everything except about Islam. It's like a strange thing for a Muslim to do for a child. We'll teach you everything. Math, science, bio, accounting, extramural stuff you can do, your ballet or your piano or whatever. And we'll also put you in a soccer club also. Everything we'll give you except to Islam. We'll do almost no seerah with you. So you'll be 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, and you'll have very little idea about what happened in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So our messenger, okay, we'll leave him out of that picture. Also, just bacha. You will have no idea what's happening in the book of guidance. It was sent to all times, to all of creation. You'll have no idea what's happening to it. Even your aqidah, even your entire Islamic education is reduced to a few pages. A few pages. And it's strange, not strange, what is it? Like it's almost like lopsided. Because everything else becomes more important than my child's most important thing, which is learning from Allah's guidance. That's like the most important thing. And also it's when the child needs it the most. Because now you are dealing with complexities, you're dealing with your own nafs, you're dealing with your own development, you're a teenager, you're confused, you go to university, you have all these ideas, all these different ideologies, you don't know where you are. And then we just park all of guidance and we just say, go find your way in this mess. And most people will get lost. Very few will survive intact. Very few will survive intact. So, that's a problem statement. That's a problem statement. And even, to be honest, even in Islamic school, if any of you have been to Islamic school, or you teach at Islamic school, your kids at Islamic school, the Islamic studies is almost like a free period. It's not like a serious thing. Like everybody knows that the Islamic studies, that's not like a serious thing. Like everything else is serious. You know, you get tutors for your maths and your science. I don't know, maybe you get tutors for your children's seerah and Quran studies and Arabic studies, and you get tutors for that as well. Besides now recitation now, there's more to Islam than bacha. You know, recitation is one small component. It's not actually ilm on its own, just a tool to access ilm. Yeah. So this is where we are. The reality is that we are going to suffer the consequences of our choices. And if you're a parent, you're going to suffer the consequences of your choices. That's the reality. You put your child into a system that prioritizes certain things, they are going to prioritize those things in their own heart. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. You put your child into a system that prioritizes material wealth, because what happens is that the entire education system has become subservient. It has become a slave of dunya. Because the result of your education system is what kind of job do I get? What kind of job do you get is what measure by how much money can I get. So a good education means you get a good job with a good salary. Do you think that knowledge was there to give you some rands? Is that our definition of knowledge, of ilm? That the entire system is subservient to wealth? No. Not at all. So we have it's a terrible thing. Because there's never been Islam. In Islam, education is there for what? It is there to teach you how to live, how to be a human being, how to survive in every aspect. Not just to get you a few rands. That's how education is. I'm not saying that you mustn't get an education. I'm not saying you mustn't get a job. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying we have to, as a society, rethink our priorities. Rethink your child's schooling choices. You want to send to that school there close to the mountain because they get good access to universities. But what's that school going to do to your child's iman? They might have all the A's and all the accolades they might get. But where's their faith going to be? Where's their guidance going to be? And besides the school choices, what are we as a society going to do in this vacuum of Islamic studies? Like, why doesn't our child, when they're 18, know Arabic, know the Quran, know the Seerah, study the entire fiqh book, done Aqidah, understands the Islamic system? Why don't they have that as the beginning? Like, why is it so difficult for us to have that? We have all these years. You think school is productive? School is like 80% waste of time. Just a 20% exam time, then they're studying something. The rest of the time they're just parking off on their phones, most of the time. So I'm saying, why can't we have a system like that? When we are serious about what we are conveying to our child. Not they must come to Darul Naeem and come to Zahra Institute and when they come to Mizan when they're like 30, 40, now you must catch up. Alhamdulillah, we're catching up as good zaniyah. But wouldn't it be better if you did this when you were 15, 16, 17? By the time you're 18, you finish Quran already, cover to cover, you know, all the surahs, whatever happening in there. You did all your fiqh already, all your aqidah. Then you're like, Alhamdulillah, at least I have some foundation in Allah's teachings. But now we come with what's the starter pack Islam. I always tell people, you want to know how much Islam you know? Take a book, a notepad, and write all the stuff you know. Write all the ayat you know, all the hadith you know, all the fiqh you know, write all the stuff you know. How many pages? Let's see. 5 pages? 6 pages? 7 pages? That's like a weekend course. That's a weekend course. So we're not like a weekend course of Islam. We're going to suffer the consequence ourselves, our families will suffer it. We have to make a change. And alhamdulillah, places like Darul Naeem and Zahra Institute, other places, they are filling a gap for people to catch up. So in other words, now you're 18, you still don't know, take a year or 2 off and catch up what you should have known 5 years ago. But that's not addressing 200-300 people. What about the other thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of Muslims who will never get there? No. At the end of all of this, mashallah, some people then they get good marks, they go to university. Then what happens is when they go to university and they go interact with the different faculties, different schools of thought, different fields, then when they look back at the Islam will always seem insufficient. Why? Because you can't compare a complex problem like justice or economic justice or whatever it is. You can't compare it to starter pack Islam. It doesn't have all the answers in there. You have to obviously unpack it. It's a whole science, it's a whole field. So the result of this is that what's worse is that now the Islam becomes something sentimental. Like I'm culturally attached, but I'm not intellectually convinced. I'm culturally attached. I'm sentimentally, emotionally attached, but I'm not convinced. I'm not won over. And now you're on shaky ground. Because why? Because your culture is being eroded. The way you dress, the way you speak, your interactions, all being eroded, and eventually the cultural attachment breaks. And what is that then? I'm a non-practicing Muslim. I'm no longer Muslim. And that is happening in our time now, where people are leaving Islam. And I'm not saying that to create any sort of fear, I'm saying it's a reality. Some people leave it completely, or some people just leave it with their heart. They're like, if I have the right gathering, I'll put on my duki and I'll come and I'll do the pious thing for now. The brother will come do the pious thing. Out of it, he can unshades. And it affects all of us. We all have a semblance of this. Because we all come from the same bad system, myself included. We all come from the same bad system. We're all trying to play catch up. But are we going to do that same thing to our children again? That's the question. Are we going to change things? Is your child going to learn seerah when they're 8, 9 years old? So they can fall in love with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a youngster. Is your child going to learn Asma al-Husna and make adhkar of Allah's names when they're 12 years old? So they can fall in love with Allah's names. Where's your child going to be? We all have to make our own choices. That's the problem statement. You in this class, alhamdulillah, you have enough intellectual capacity, you have enough resources, you have enough ability to start some sort of change. But first you must see the problem for what it is. There's more to education than 6 subjects in matric. There's more to education than your 6 subjects in matric. And whatever your 8 subjects in university. There's more to education, that's like nothing. And the standard is so low now that even that's like on the lowest level possible. You can like read a textbook the night before and you can pass. It's not education anymore, it's just, I don't know what it is, it's a waste of time. All for the dunya. So inshallah, as parents especially, we have to change the system. We have to put things in its proper place. Anything, they say al-hikmah. Hikmah is wad'u shay'in fi mahallihi. Hikmah means to place something in its proper place. You put something in its proper rank, its proper station, that is called wisdom. So we have to get some hikmah, inshallah, and to put all of this in its proper place. May Allah guide us all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't want to make you depressed, but we have to wake up.